Have you ever woken up in the morning and felt nothing? No sounds in the house. No one calling your name. Just the silence of a new day that feels exactly like the last. If you're over 70 and living alone, this might be your daily reality. And it can feel unbearable. Across the United States, millions of seniors quietly face the same emotional weight. The loneliness that comes when family moves away, friends pass on, and purpose starts to fade. But what if I told you that one small habit done every morning could completely shift the way you feel? You don't need to move across the country. You don't need to join a club. You just need a simple, intentional morning ritual. In this video, you'll discover the one thing you can do each morning to feel happier, more alive, and never truly alone again. Let's talk about what's really going on. Loneliness in old age isn't just a sad feeling. It is a growing health crisis in America. According to the U.S. Surgeon General, loneliness is now considered as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yet, no one talks about it. It's an invisible epidemic, especially for seniors over 70 who find themselves suddenly alone. Maybe your spouse passed away. Maybe your children are busy with their own lives. Maybe your circle of friends has slowly gotten smaller over the years. Days begin to blur. Conversations become rare. You eat breakfast alone, sit in silence, and sometimes go the entire day without hearing your own voice. It's not just isolation. It's a loss of identity, of meaning, of feeling like you matter. And here's the painful truth. Many seniors don't even realize it's happening. They think this is just how old age is. But that mindset is dangerous, because when loneliness becomes a routine, it turns into depression, memory loss, and physical decline. You begin to move less, think less, care less. And over time, you stop fully living. But it doesn't start with major life events. It often starts in the morning. The moment you wake up and there's no plan, no structure, just time stretching out in front of you, empty and quiet. That's when the spiral begins. You see, we humans are wired for connection and purpose, no matter our age. And when those two things go missing, even the strongest person can feel lost. That's why it's so important to talk about this. Not to scare you, but to show you that you're not alone in feeling this way. And more importantly, to remind you that loneliness is not a life sentence. It's a signal, a reminder that something needs to change. And the good news is, it can. Frank was 76 when everything changed. He had been married to his wife, Carol, for over 50 years. They did everything together, from morning coffee to weekend walks in the park. But when Carol passed away after a long illness, Frank's world fell silent. The house that was once full of laughter, smells of cooking, and conversation became still. At first, Frank kept himself busy with chores and TV. He told himself he was fine, but each morning became harder than the last. He'd wake up late, sit in the same chair with a bowl of cereal, and stare out the window for hours. Some days, he didn't even change out of his pajamas. No one called. No one visited. The loneliness settled in quietly, like dust. What made it worse was that Frank still looked okay. He didn't want to bother his kids or neighbors. He thought, they've got their own lives. So he stopped reaching out. He became invisible. Not because people stopped caring, but because he convinced himself he didn't matter anymore. Then one morning, something small, almost forgettable, happened. Frank found an old notebook Carol had used to keep grocery lists. Inside, on the first page, she had scribbled a sentence. Start the day with a reason. He stared at that line for a long time. That morning, instead of just pouring cereal, Frank made eggs. He sat at the table and wrote in the notebook, "Today, I'll call my daughter, and I'm grateful the sun is out." It felt silly, but he did it again the next morning. And the next. Within a week, Frank was waking up earlier. He was getting dressed. He added a short walk to his routine, just around the block. He started calling his daughter every Sunday, then every Wednesday. Even wrote a letter to his old army buddy and got one back. In just a few weeks, the fog began to lift. His mornings weren't filled with dread anymore. He had a reason to wake up, even if it was as simple as making breakfast, taking a walk, or writing one line in his notebook. Frank didn't change his life overnight. He didn't move or find a new partner, but he made one small promise to himself every morning. I will start the day on purpose. And that's what changed everything. So what exactly did Frank do? It wasn't some expensive program or complicated routine. It was a simple 20-minute ritual he created. One that anyone can do, no matter their age, energy level, or background. And it all started the moment he opened his eyes in the morning. Here's the secret. Frank gave his morning purpose. He called it his 3-part morning start. Every single day, without fail, Frank did 3 things right after waking up. And those 3 things became the foundation that rebuilt his life. First, he wrote in his notebook. Frank began each morning by writing down 3 things he was grateful for, and 1 thing he was looking forward to that day. It could be as simple as grateful for a warm blanket, morning sunshine, a memory of Carol. Looking forward to making lunch, reading a new book, calling Sarah. This tiny act trained his brain to focus on hope, not loss. Psychologists call this intentional optimism. It helps shift attention away from what's missing and back onto what's still meaningful. Second, he moved his body, even just a little. After journaling, Frank laced up his sneakers and took a 10-minute walk around the block. No phone, no music, just movement and fresh air. On rainy days, he walked in place near the kitchen counter. On tired days, he stretched his arms and legs while seated. The goal wasn't exercise. It was momentum. By moving his body, he signaled to his brain, today has started. I'm alive. I'm still going. Third, he reached out. Before breakfast, Frank made it a rule to connect with one person. That could be a text, a phone call, a birthday card, or even a comment on a neighbor's Facebook post. Some days, he just waved at someone on his walk, but every day, he reached beyond himself. Even in the smallest way, this habit reminded him, I still matter to someone. The beauty of Frank's ritual is that it was predictable, personal, and practical. It didn't rely on outside motivation. It was a routine built for him, by him, and because it was so simple, it stuck. After 30 days, Frank wasn't just surviving mornings. He was enjoying them. His memory improved. His posture changed. He even joined a local men's coffee group on Thursdays, something he never imagined doing again. Now, here's the best part. You can do this too. Frank's routine may seem simple, even ordinary, but science tells us it is doing something extraordinary inside the brain. Let's start with gratitude. When Frank writes down what he's thankful for, he's not just being positive. He's training his brain to shift away from fear, regret, and sadness, and toward appreciation. According to a study from the University of California, practicing daily gratitude actually boosts levels of dopamine and serotonin, the same chemicals many antidepressants aim to increase. In other words, your brain likes gratitude. It feeds on it. And when Frank writes what he's looking forward to, he activates what psychologists call anticipatory joy. This feeling helps balance the stress hormone cortisol and improves emotional resilience. Meaning, even if something hard happens during the day, his brain is better equipped to handle it. Then comes movement. Many seniors think slowing down is part of aging, but staying active even for just 10 minutes is like hitting a reset button on your body and brain. Light walking increases oxygen and blood flow to your brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for memory, focus, and decision. That's why Frank felt more alert and mentally sharp after his morning walks. Plus, physical movement releases endorphins, natural chemicals that lift mood, reduce pain, and fight anxiety. No pills required. And connection, you might think saying hello to a neighbor or texting your grandchild isn't a big deal. But science disagrees. Harvard researchers have shown that social interaction is one of the strongest predictors of longevity and well-being, especially in older adults. When Frank made one connection a day, no matter how small, He was building a web of emotional support. His brain recognized that he belonged, and that made all the difference. The reason Frank's routine works isn't because it's complicated. It works because it activates the 3 pillars of emotional health: positive focus, physical vitality, and human connection. And when you repeat these actions every morning, they become habits, and habits become identity. You stop seeing yourself as just old or alone. You start seeing yourself as engaged, capable, and alive. That's the power of routine backed by biology. And you don't need to understand neuroscience to benefit from it. You just need to show up, one morning at a time. Now that you understand why this works, let's build your morning blueprint. You don't need to copy Frank exactly. What matters is finding your own rhythm, something that feels right for you. But to get you started, here's a 4-step routine anyone can follow. Step 1. Wake up with intention. Don't rush. Just take a breath and write down 3 things you re grateful for, and 1 thing you re looking forward to. Step 2. Move your body. Stretch, walk, dance. Anything that gets your blood flowing for at least 10 minutes. Step 3. Connect with one person. A call, a text, a letter. Just one small gesture to stay emotionally engaged. Step 4. Celebrate the start of your day. Enjoy your coffee. Sit by the window. Smile. This is your reward for showing up for yourself. When you do this, you begin to notice the ripple effect. You sleep better. You feel lighter. You begin to want to get up in the morning. You make plans again. And slowly, life begins to feel full. Even when you live alone. Frank didn't change the world, but he changed his. And now, it's your turn. If you've made it this far, take a moment to truly recognize that you didn't just watch a video. You took a step towards something better. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, try the first step. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Just that. Then come back and tell us how it felt. Leave a comment below that says, I started. And if this video spoke to you, if it made you feel seen, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it too. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are still becoming. We'll see you in the next video.